let's talk about the situation in terms of the migrant crisis, which is getting worse and worse and worse. And today, as I say, the Mail is running this story saying that lawyers are charging £10,000 to make fake asylum claims. Let's talk to former Brexit Party MEP, tireless campaigner on the migrant crisis issue, Ben Habib. Hello, Ben.
Hi, Kevin.
This story in the Mail today is shocking, but I have to say, and I'm sure you'd agree with me, it doesn't particularly surprise me. Dodgy lawyers taking backhanders to facilitate asylum applications. Now, what they're saying here is, they're making up harrowing backstories for people who haven't got backstories. They're coming from places like Albania, no war, no torture, no slavery. But these lawyers are offering them stories of torture, beatings, slave labour, false imprisonment and death threats. And then the applicants have to say, oh, this left me suicidal and I felt compelled to flee to the UK. These lawyers will also get you a doctor to say, yes, he is suicidal or she is suicidal, and here are some antidepressants to prove it, and so on and so forth. So this is going on quite a wide scale, as I say. To be honest with you, amid the utter chaos of our asylum system, I find this depressing, but not that surprising. Do you?
No, I'm not surprised at all. And actually, I've expected something like this, for some time. And I bet quite a large proportion of that £10,000, if not all of it, comes in government aid. I bet they also help the claimant to make an application to His Majesty's government so that they can get the aid that they need. And, why wouldn't they do this? These people are coming, or if you just look at the profit motive, why wouldn't they do it? These people are coming from countries where their backstories can't be checked. And our legislation actually has a specific carve-out for people who might be subject to human rights abuses in their own country, who risk being put to death if they were to be sent back. Except you can never check whether or not the stories are true. So you're bound to get unscrupulous lawyers, medical, members of the medical profession, making things up. And no doubt, I'm certain of it, Kevin, if we dig deeper, we'll find that the government is paying for this as well.
Gets even worse, doesn't it? One lawyer here, so this is Daily Mail reporters posing as asylum seekers, going to these shyster lawyers and saying, what can I do to stay? And one lawyer is telling the reporter, undercover of course, what was the problem you were facing back home? Was it political? This was a solicitor asking these questions. No, not political, just work. I needed a job, said the Mail reporter. The lawyer then replied, you say that and they're going to send you back. So in other words, he then tells him to make up a story of great harrowing trauma and drama, and therefore you'll be allowed to stay. Now, these are people who are going to lawyers. This is one side of the story. But this is happening in effect, I would suggest, with vast numbers of people who apply for asylum. This is happening, so these lawyers are coming up with their methods. But let's not kid ourselves. A lot of these economic migrants who come here, they've worked out stories as well to be able to stay. And then we in this country, we let 73% of all asylum applicants stay, the biggest percentage in the entire world. We need to crack down on our criteria for successful applications, don't we?
We do. Well, because we're a member of the European Convention on Human Rights, we have these carve-outs for these, these backstories, whether they face some kind of mortal danger or physical danger, or they're going to be abused if they go back to these countries where we can't test what the true nature of their problems are. It's going to happen. We're a member of the European Convention of Human Rights. It's impossible to get out of that obligation. So, and as you rightly say, Kevin, I mean, the Mail reporter was in a sense trying to entrap the lawyer to find out how far the lawyer was prepared to go but most economic migrants coming to a lawyer would have invented their own backstory.
Yes.
And they would have, created all the paper trail that they needed in order to justify it. And I bet the lawyers, even if they were suspicious, wouldn't really raise an objection, because why would they? It would be turkeys and Christmas. And out of every government program, out of every government failure or initiative, a vested interests get created, and we are seeing that vested interest here being exploited, in this case illegally, but I'm sure there's a lot of it around the edges, which is difficult to prove, the legality or otherwise of it, and it's taking place at our expense. So we've got 170,000 people claiming asylum. We've got 51,000 people being looked after by the state at the moment in varying degrees of comfort, either in barges with pool tables, gyms, or Pimlico, Belgravia, in expensive hotels with Wi-Fi just about, and food that they like. The bill is vast. We get told the bill is 6 million a day. I bet the bill is much bigger than that, Kevin. When you factor in all the legal aid they get, when you factor in all the health checks they get, the dentist, the cash in their pockets, when you put it all together, I bet we're paying a hell of a lot more than £6 million a day. And a lot of it's being brushed under the carpet. And probably the government won't even investigate it, because why would they? It would make them look stupid. So they just go on signing these checks. Yes. And on it goes.
The Bibby Stockholm, the migrant barge that's just docked up in Portland in Dorset, the tiny town of Portland in Dorset, where the 12,000 residents are very alarmed at the prospect of 509 young men with nothing to do all day suddenly arriving in their midst. But the cost of the Bibby Stockholm, the basic cost, and what I'm talking about is looking after the residents, feeding them, maintaining the boat. This is just the basic cost, £20,000 a day. And I believe the mooring costs are like $15,000 a week, and so on and so forth. So the idea that migrants barges, or for that matter asylum seeker centres, these big air bases or converted prisons, holiday camps, the idea that they're dramatically cheaper than hotels, I think is something of a fallacy.
It is a fallacy, and it's interesting you got that figure, because initially the government was reluctant to hand out the figure of the cost of the barge. And I also understand that those migrants who enter the country illegally that are on the barge are free to come and go as they please.
Yeah, they are, definitely.
So you've got people about whom we know nothing in a small rural part of the United Kingdom, which isn't prepared for that kind of invasion. And I use the word advisedly. I know a lot of people who would welcome these economic migrants.
I use that word as well, Ben. I use that word as well, Ben, because this is a free country, and if we choose to use that word, we're able to do so. And I'm not going to be told by anyone what I can and cannot say. So you go right ahead. You call it an invasion.
Well, absolutely, it is an invasion. That's exactly what's going on. We're getting hundreds of people coming across the channel illegally into our country, and our government is not doing anything substantial about it. And as I've said many, many times over, you do not stop the boat from coming across the channel through a policy of deterrence if you're doing absolutely nothing to deter other than encourage them to make that risky journey. Everything we do is an encouragement to come to the United Kingdom. All the benefits they get, the legal protections they get, even deportation to Rwanda is such a remote possibility that no one would begin to think that it is a risk that would likely come home to roost with them. There is nothing other than a massive sign over the United Kingdom saying, please come here, all would-be asylum seekers, no matter your backstory, no matter your true circumstances, no matter that actually you're coming from a safe country, that is France, come to the United Kingdom, we will look after you, we will look after you royally. And at the same time, we'll turn our backs on the people of the United Kingdom who need government assistance much more than you do and deserve it because they're British citizens. We'll just ignore them and we'll take you in. And then we're going to tell everyone that actually our approach to the illegal migration crisis is through deterrence. But there's no deterrent. Yeah, I'm slightly going around in circles, but I think I've driven the point home.
You're absolutely right. We don't have deterrence. We have enticements.